us to do class because my wife has class the same time I have class. So this is the life of, what it's like to have two college professors in the same house. So my wife's class is happening right now, and we're in the same little hotel room. We're staying at the Hotel Avalon in Atlanta. And in the rooms, they didn't have any big rooms, right? So a lot of times when we travel, we have to find space for both of us, right? So we usually get a two-room space where I can go and shut the door and she can do her thing and I can do my thing. But now, because the room is not that big, she's literally talking to her students right over there, like 15 feet away, and I'm talking to you guys. So if it sounds like I'm ever whispering, it's because I'm trying to sort of keep us focused and not interrupt my wife's class. And I'll say good morning to Denise Bryant. Good to see you. And let's see, I see who else is in there. Abdul Muhammad, AC Salam, Allison Burrell, Angela McKinney, Angel Maria. Let's Audrey Khaleesi, Game of Thrones, Bays, Blazing Stock, Calvin McWilliams, I see you, Carol Heath, Claudia, good to see you, Dr. Marilyn Johnson, MD, AC, good to see you as well. Errol Shimon Gall, my brother, Sharon, good morning, Sharon, and George, and Helen, and James, and Jennifer, and Jessica. Good to see everybody. Good to see you. Okay, so I assume if you weren't here yesterday, you would know that we decided we were going to go ahead and move forward with another 30 days, at least 30 days, where I'm actually going to cover my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. And there is a study guide. If you want to join, you can join for free. If you get a copy of the study guide, that's the required reading for the class. And so I sent you all I gave you all a link to get that last time. I'm going to try to find the link again and share it in this class, but I got so many freaking tabs open. I can't find it. So I'm going to try to go through these 800 tabs and find one that works. And here's something else that I think could benefit you. I was kind of going through some of the stuff we've done over the last several years. And here's an oldie but a goodie that I think can help you a lot. And I did a training called The Secrets of Black Financial Security, and it's free. You can go take a look at it. And let me find this sucker. Come on, boys. Here we go. Okay. Wait, first, actually, before I do that, what I want to do is give you the link to get the study guide for the course. And you probably want to order sooner rather than later because I know that we're going to run out of study guides. And I've talked to the person who ships everything, Nicole and Anna, and we're ordering more, but we're gonna probably run out. Like a lot of you ordered your study guides yesterday. And so here is the study guide. So if you have a copy of the study guide, you can join the live Zooms. You may even want to click and just grab it right now, and it'll be shipped to you, and then you'll have it when we start. And what the study guide does is it takes my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, and condenses it to a series of PowerPoints, about 100 PowerPoints. I did a whole full training weekend in Los Angeles on that book because I want us to not just know about the book and even just not even just read the book, but I really want us to internalize the book and understand the outside context behind everything that's in the book, right? Like I really want you to understand where this is coming from, and it's very important because part of the reason that Black wealth does not get resolved in America, part of the reason that wealth is such an enigma in the Black community is because we don't have anybody really focusing on Black wealth. We focus on Black wealth as if we are white people, and the thing is that you are operating in a very different environment from the average white person. Most of you are. You have a different kind of economic soil around you. You have a different set of barriers, different culture, different amounts of wealth available. You have different skill sets. You have unique opportunities that white people may not have, right? So you have to be able to see wealth through the lens of your cultural experience, and that's what we focus on in the Black Business School. So in a way, and maybe it's just similar to like if somebody has a problem with their heart, they need a cardiologist, and that might be even a cardiologist who specializes in a certain issue within the heart, not somebody who's a general practitioner. A general practitioner cannot do heart surgery on you. They're not qualified. And so universities, in my opinion, are general practitioners, and I don't even know if they really teach wealth or ownership. They actually focus on training so you can get a job. So remember, remember, education is not the same as knowledge, and knowledge is not the same as wisdom. And so this book brings together knowledge and wisdom about the Black experience and the models that have and have not worked, and helps us to form new models that are proven to work, right? So anyway, if you want to get the training manual to get ready for our next 30-day sequence, just click on that link that I just shared with you, and you can get access right now, and it's discounted substantially. So the barrier is not high for anybody that wants to join. Now, let me find something else. I mentioned to you all that I wanted to give you something that's this doesn't cost anything. This is a training I did on the secrets to Black financial security. Let me see if I can find this sucker here. I had it on my screen, and gosh dang it, I know I can find this sucker. Come on, boom, here we go. Here we go. Yes, found it. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you guys, and so feel free to take a look at this as well. This because what I've also learned is that part of the reason that a lot of people don't have financial security is because they don't know what it looks like. They think they're secure, but they're not. It's like think of it like insurance. You know, you ever have somebody that thinks that they're fully insured, and then an insurance agent says, "No, actually, you're exposed here and here and here and here and here." Well, financial security is kind of the same way. A lot of times we think we're safe, and we're not. And you don't find out that you're not safe until after something bad happens and there's a tragedy that exposes one of your vulnerabilities. And so I think about risk a lot. I've always thought about risk a lot because I think being Black is very risky. And also living in America, just kind of in this capitalist society, is very economically risky, particularly when you are thrown into competitive capitalism without any form of inheritance or a limited ability to make money. And that's why I constantly remind you all to think about your children and grandchildren so you don't do that to them. Dr. Claude Anderson, he's pretty rough about it. He says it's child abuse. He says it's actually abuse if you send your child out into competitive economic environments and you don't give them some resources to work with or opportunities, right? So anyway, let's see here, the ebook version of the study guide. Yeah, you can still, yeah, you know what? You can actually. Let me share the ebook version. So if you wanted to even do the ebook version of the study guide, you can do that too. So let me grab the ebook version. Let me see here. Okay, here is a link to the ebook version. Yeah, so no problem. Yeah, you can come on in with the ebook version too. So here's the ebook version. There's that link in the chat. So anyway, the thing is that it's very traumatic to have something go wrong financially and to suddenly be thrown in the middle of devastation, right? Give me a yes if you've ever gone through that. Give me a yes if you've ever seen a situation where suddenly your income dropped, or suddenly the family didn't have what it needed, or suddenly something went bad, or suddenly something broke down, or suddenly something happened that you never saw coming, and it just threw off everything financially. Well, in finance, we call those black swan events. And black swan events are basically things that you didn't even see coming. It's like if I'm sitting here talking to you and somebody comes and cracks me in the head with a baseball bat. I'm not expecting that. I'm sitting in a hotel. I'm not expecting to get hit in the head with a baseball bat. And so black swan events are deep. It's a deeper level of risk. It requires a deeper level of financial consciousness because what the financial awareness requires is that you have the knowns, the things that you know are going to happen, that you know how much money you make, you know how much wealth you have, you know where you're going to get your next paycheck from. And then you have the unknowns, like you don't know if you're going to lose your job. You don't know if something's going to go wrong with your wealth. You don't know if you don't know exactly what the future holds. But then there's like the unknown unknowns, right? Like just things that we can't even imagine, things that we haven't even thought about, things we don't even worry about them because we don't even think it's something to worry about. Like I don't know, like your child trying to kill you or something. And you're like, no, little Ray Ray would never kill me, right? But there are the unknown unknowns, and the abyss of the unknown unknowns is actually the largest form of risk that there is. So really, when you're talking about financial consciousness, a lot of financial consciousness is risk assessment. It's sitting there, and this is why I talk about being meditative, because meditation allows you to explore alternative realities, alternative possibilities. It allows you to look around and think about, not just what is, but what was, what could have been, what is going to be, and what could be. Do you understand? Right? So mathematically speaking, what you're doing when you talk about what is, you're talking about three dimensions. When you're talking about what was and what's going to be, you're talking about four dimensions. When you talk about what could be and what could have been, you're talking about the fifth dimensions. And then there's the sixth dimension. They actually say that God lives in the sixth dimension. That's where you literally have an infinite number of origin points of the existence of the whole universe. We're not going to go that high, but literally, when I think about financial consciousness, I'm literally taking you to multiple dimensions, right? And the reason that that's powerful is because when you're able to go to those higher levels of thinking and you practice this, right? You practice imagining like, oh, what could have been? What could my life have been if I'd done this instead of done that? Or what could so and so's life have been if this had happened instead of that? And then you start thinking about, well, what could be? Like, what, okay, I'm going down this path, but what if I change something? What if I pivot and shift? And, in like my business, okay, things are not working out, but what if we try this? Or what if we try that? Right? It's very powerful because suddenly you're free. You're free because you're not limited by what is or what was. You're limit, your possibilities become infinite at that point. And so even when for those of you, how many of you are in the Prime program where we talk about stock options? Is anybody give me a yes if you're in the Prime program, where we make money selling stock options every week. If you're in the okay, a lot of you are in the Prime program. Okay, yeah. So and by the way, if you like the program, say something in the chat so others that are thinking about joining can know that this is the real deal. It's really, really good. DrBoycePrime.com. If you're looking to make extra cash flow, it's amazing. It's a great experience. This is how I make my money, by the way. This is how I make the majority of my income that I use to pay bills in my house, right? So DrBoycePrime.com if you want to take a look. But anyway, one of the beautiful things about what we do in Prime, you guys may not know this, is that literally the reason stock options are such a great market and America has the best markets in the world is because you literally are able to make money from the fifth dimension. It sounds crazy to say it, and it may sound confusing at first, and it's okay. Just bear with me. We'll keep talking about it, and eventually it'll make sense. But literally, you're literally snatching wealth out of the fifth dimension. Like you're literally taking things that don't even exist. You're taking possibilities and you're making money from possibilities, right? But really, actually, casinos do the same thing. Casinos make money by getting you to take risk where you're imagining all these possibilities, and they're charging you money for each one of those possibilities, right? That's how they calculate how much it costs you to place a bet. Like, just give you a real life example. I don't like gambling. I don't think gambling is a healthy way to use money. I think gambling addictions can be the most financially devastating thing that you or your partner could get into. So be very careful when it comes to gambling. But hey, you know what? I don't judge. And sometimes I dabble. Sometimes I have fun. So let me tell you what I decided to do this weekend. I decided that because I am excited about the Ravens and the Lions being in the AFC Championship, I decided to place a bet on the Ravens and a bet on the Lions. And so let's see if I win. Maybe it'll be a fun little thing. But either way, though, the amount of money that they charge me for that bet is based on, snatching wealth out of the fifth dimension. They're literally charging me money for things that may or may not happen. The Ravens may not win, the Lions may not cover the spread. And so ultimately, this is what the one aspect of financial consciousness. It's to be able to not be sort of constrained and limited, right? You're free, to use that word options. You have options mentally because you're able to see beyond just what is and what's right there. Right. So with stock options, right, rather than just seeing the stock that's in front of you and the price of the stock as it is, they allow you literally to make money from all the possible things that could happen with that stock over the following week. That's why they put that money into your account. And it's pretty cool because you're pulling this money out of the fifth dimension but you're bringing it into the third dimension. You're bringing it into your actual account. So you're grabbing from the ether almost. It's an amazing thing. So what I want you to do is I want you to really start thinking like that, like sort of practice imagining possibilities, right? Like, so for example, when we talk about Project 2070 in the Black Business School, where I believe that Black people, we right now we've already achieved the first goal where Black people are the largest percentage of new investors in America, right? I didn't do this by myself. There's some other great people doing amazing things. I talked to Steve Harvey's daughter yesterday. I just so in case for the just if you want to know what I've been up to, I met Master P yesterday, and Steve Harvey's daughter was here, and she's a great lady, very smart young lady, and she was talking to me about how Steve got involved with Earn Your Leisure and kind of helped them to scale up what they were doing. And anyway, these guys have done a great job in terms of exposing the world to financial literacy. There are so many other smart people that are doing this too. And so I was there in my era, and I'm still here now. I'm going to be around as long as I'm breathing. And so it was a team effort, right? And this is very important to understand that economics is a team sport. That it is a team sport. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about that all the time. There's no there's no rule or way to kind of look at wealth as something where there's going to be one superhero or one great black leader that does everything on their own. That's not, first of all, that's too much work for one person. Second of all, it's not possible. And number three, remember, when you're black and you're competing in these world of competitive economics, that's where most racism is economic for the most part. It's driven by the fact that they took your wealth and they block you from wealth, right? You're fighting against a system. You're fighting against a system. And you can't fight a system as an individual. An individual cannot really defeat a system. Like a football player cannot defeat a football team. Even the greatest football player in the world, Deion Sanders is one of the greatest players I ever saw. Tom Brady, Deion Sanders and Tom Brady working together, or even as individuals. How about as individuals? Make it simple. They cannot defeat. There's no football team they could defeat by themselves, right? So effectively, when you're talking about economics, you need a team effort, and this is what I like about it is that everybody's kind of doing their part and playing their position. And again, even like I said, even my confirmation, I loved. I never met Steve's daughter before, but she's a nice lady. She's very smart. And she talked about how he got involved with Earn Your Leisure and supported what they were doing. And I thought it was great. I'm all for it because I believe that we need to make wealth in economics and investing as critical to being black as playing basketball, playing football, rapping, dancing, and all the other things that we do, and barbecues, like and going to church. Like I think there should be economic church, just like you have regular church, because your economics is what's going to really make a huge difference in your lives. And if you look at the source of a lot of the stress and anxiety and the challenges that come from being black, most of it comes from the fact that you have to get up and go to work every day for somebody who doesn't like you, right? So your stress is similar to what your ancestors felt. But a person who is economically solid doesn't have to feel that stress. And the pathway to becoming economically solid is typically easier if somebody else before you has enough economic consciousness and foresight to imagine your life before you're even born, right? If you have a parent or grandparent that loves you enough to imagine your life before you actually get here or before you grow up, then what they can do is they can make the bed for you. They can clear the path for you. They can get the world ready for you before you get there, and if you think about that, that's the essence of love. That's the essence of love. When my niece and my nephew were born, there were 10 of us at the hospital waiting for this baby. We'd all bought the baby's clothes. We'd already started putting money in the baby's investment accounts. We were all waiting at the hospital, waiting for the baby to get here. And so what does that do? That increases the likelihood that the baby's going to be safe because he's got a whole bunch of teammates looking out for him on the day he arrives in this planet. Do you understand? And that is very different from how I was born. When I was born, there wasn't nobody waiting for me. When I was born, the only people waiting for me was my mother, because she had to be there, and the nurse who delivered me. That was it. That was all I had. You come into the world, uh, ain't even got diapers. My daddy, my biological father, used to steal diapers off a truck and deliver Pampers to my mama when I was first born. She said she thought that was pretty romantic. That he would go and rob a truck to go get, because she was the only one out of all her friends that had the new fancy Pampers, right? So apparently I had I guess like Gucci style diapers for babies or something. Maybe that was like kind of me and like a luxury brand on my butt. But still though, it's it's just one of those things where I just think about that and I said that's not the appropriate way for a child to come into this world, right? A child is supposed to come into this world in a catcher's mitt of protection where there are all these people that have already made plans, that have already gotten everything ready, that have already made the bed so that when the child gets into the world, they're ready to go. Okay. But I'm not blaming anyone. But I think that there's no excuse at this point. We're educated on this. We understand how the world works. We understand how racism works. We understand how white supremacy and all these other demons that we're afraid of. we know how these things work. So now it's time to just say, okay, we're committed. Part of being Black means being prepared. Blackness means investing and getting your kids ready. It means having something for them. It means using the value of time to grow enough wealth so that when they get here, they can eat, right? Just like it takes time to grow food. Well, you're growing economic food. So if I'm going to, if I know you need to eat at 7 o'clock, I'm not going to start cooking at 8:45, right? I'm going to start cooking at 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever, so that I can make sure that your meal is ready when you arrive, right? Or if I know you gotta eat in the fall, I start planting, food in the garden in the spring. Do you understand? So you start planting the seeds. The $5 a day plan does that for you. Blackwealthmasterplan.com. If you go to boycewatkins.com, the resources are all over that page. And you get the kids ready, and then I guarantee you reduce the problems that they have by about 90%. I just saw something today where this is kind of interesting, where they literally, I don't know if did anybody else see this, but the Black Enterprise literally said that Black Enterprise literally said that Donald Trump is going to get more black votes than any Republican in American history, which is the craziest thing, right? For the record, I don't vote for Trump or Biden. I don't do Democrat, Republican stuff, and I don't judge what you do. Some of y'all I know are Republicans, some of you are Democrats, some of you are independent. I support it all. I respect it all. Be who you want to be. But one thing that's really interesting is that when you talk about family wealth and preparation, I was really intrigued by studying Donald Trump's family in the financial consciousness that positioned him to be where he is. And one of the things I encourage you not to do is to fall for the trick where people say, "Oh, well, the only reason they have money is because they're white." No, most white people are not don't have sons where the son is buying a $400 million hotel at the age of 28, right? Most white families don't have a 28-year-old son buying a $400 million hotel. That's what Donald Trump was doing at the age of 28. And what you got to understand is that in order to be running that fast, that early in the game, and remember, think about this. Many 28-year-olds are barely, when I was 28 anyway, I was barely paying the rent. I was trying to get that first opportunity, right? I didn't have hardly anything. So most 28-year-olds who are running that fast in the game, they had a big running start. They had a big runway to get your airplane that high off the ground. When I take off in an airplane, we have to calculate how long it's going to take us to hit our cruising altitude, right? So even a low cruising altitude of say 3 or 4 thousand feet requires like 10 or 15 minutes to get there. So if somebody says, "Oh, I got to 20,000 feet and it took me 8 seconds to get there," I'm gonna say, okay, so explain this to me. I don't understand that math. The mathematics I have in front of me does not justify or add up to what you're saying right now, right? So when you see somebody cruising at 30,000 feet financially, like Donald Trump was at the age of 28, you have to know that it's because somebody else already took the plane off the runway, right? Do you understand? Somebody else started. Donald Trump was born in 1946. His wealth journey started in about 1928, 1930. His wealth journey started in 1930 when his father Fred decided to stop fixing houses for rich people and started to buy apartments and buy property all throughout New York. That's when his wealth journey started. So pay attention now. I want you to process this. Now again, let's get past the politics. I don't care who you vote for. So his father, Fred, in 1930, starts his wealth journey. He's very poor. He owns property. He makes that first step toward becoming a wealth builder. His wealth starts to grow. By the time Donald arrives in 1946, Fred is still climbing. His plane is still, the family plane is still climbing. You're still climbing. That's the way it is when you fly an airplane. You spend a lot of time climbing. You're like way back, lean back, and during the climb phase, you're kind of getting ready for cruising out. So you're looking through all your diagrams, and it's very easy to get lost in an airplane, by the way. So you spend a lot of time being trained on how to know exactly where you're going and where you are, because there's no street signs in the sky. So as I'm climbing, I'm looking at my charts and getting ready and all this other stuff, and I know it's going to take me about 10 minutes to hit my cruising altitude. So by the time Donald is born, the plane is already taking off, right? And then but remember though, Donald's not financially conscious until the 1970s, right? Because in 1946, a newborn baby doesn't care about money. A newborn baby is just being a kid, right? They care about candy and mommy and milk and all this other stuff. So you have the 1940s, the 1950s, and the 1960s, where his father's building all this wealth so that when his son finally becomes financially conscious, about 1971, his son's about 25 years old. His father gives him a few $1 million that he's been cooking in the crock pot for the last 30 years. He gives him like 20, $25 million, and he says, okay, son, here you go take over the world. And in the meantime, what his father was also doing was his father sent him to military school to teach him how to fight. That's why he fights everybody now because and he did well in military school. He actually was like the leader, but he was kind of a bully, which isn't a surprise because that's kind of how he carries himself now. And he also sent him to business school. He went to Wharton for a little while and somewhere else, and he learned all these things about business at an early age. They do all these things that you don't learn on a college campus. His father explained them to him. So what happens is that his plane is 10,000 feet off the ground in the first couple of minutes. Now process this. I want you to compare this to a lot of families. A lot of families, they don't even talk to their kids about money until the kids are like 22, 23 years old. There's not even a real conversation about wealth or investing until there's a financial problem. And then on top of that, not only is your airplane not off the ground, but literally you're in debt. You're starting the life in debt. You're 24, 25 years old, and you got 200,000 in student loans, an income of 40,000, no assets, no wealth, no nothing. You can't. Trump's daddy put him here. You put your child down here. That's what you did. So if in fact if an airplane could be in the ground, you're not even a couple of feet off the ground. Your plane is in under the water, right? You're underwater. He's 20,000 feet in the air, but it's not because he did anything special or worked harder than your child did. It's that somebody else worked harder in the preparation phase, right? They prepared. They were building this money in the crock pot over a 20, 30-year period. So when he steps into the game, he's already stepping into the game with a 20, 30 point lead. Right. So long story short, what I encourage you to do is learn from everybody. Don't worry about, I know the thing that drives me crazy is people will be like, oh no, he only got that money because he's a corrupt person. Yeah, he probably is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's why he's going to jail. I have no idea. Or because he's white. No, most white people don't have this. Most white people don't plan like that, right? But you can. I want you to really, really try hard to really live in the future. I want you to really try to become as weird as I am and really start thinking of not just about 2024. You got to think about 2034, 2044, 2054. I told you, my biggest plans for the Black community are literally 46 years in the future. I literally Project 2070 is the biggest thing that I'm focused on because I know that by 2070, anything that we want to have become a reality is possible, but I also accept the fact that I'm not going to be there. Chances are I'm just handing the baton off to somebody else. So every time I see young people say, I started investing because of you, or I heard you when I was in high school, and this is what I'm doing now, I say, great. Pretty soon I'm going to get tired. I'm going to hand you the stick and I want you to run it because I got us in the lead or I got us caught up in the race. Okay. I did my part. Now you do your part. Team sport. Okay. All right. So let me show you all a slide that I want you to reflect on today. This is our financial reflection for today. And by the way, if you want to get all the trainings that we've done so far today, just a reminder, you can go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. You can get all that stuff in terms of everything we've done up until this point. So since we're on kind of the theme of connecting and how important connection is for wealth, like right now I'm at Lamar Tyler's Traffic Sales and Profit event, and I'm making a lot of awesome connections with so many great people. It's nice to be in spaces with people that are just doing awesome things, and I've just met so many amazing people. It's been just my head's been spinning. Um, but what I want you to do is I want you to yesterday we talked about building family wealth circles. Well, now I want you to think about conscious connections. And I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about Dr. George C. Fraser, one of my heroes, one of my buddies, one of my heroes. Meeting with friends you can do business with is a great way to come up with business ideas. Talk about how connecting with others can be beneficial for you both personally and financially, and how you plan to do this once a week. So what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about places, situations, ways, patterns, things you could put into your routine that will facilitate your connections with other human beings. Like what I do is I literally have on my list, I live by acronyms, and I have an acronym that defines my whole life in terms of everything that matters to me. And I write it down every morning so I can recenter my mind and get focused. And one of the acronyms is basically connecting with other people. Because my limitation is that I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert, workaholic, techie nerd, and I can sit in a room by myself for 1,000 years and be perfectly fine. I have very interesting conversations with myself inside my own head to the point where I can, I'm okay with people around or not around, right? But I had to learn a dual personality because I do things publicly. So I meet lots of people. And if you met me in public, you'd probably think I was an extrovert, but really that's not true. I'm an introvert pretending to be an extrovert, but I'm okay with being extroverted because I appreciate people and I appreciate all the support. And when I see you and I want to talk to you because I love the fact that you believe in me and you support me. And so I'm never going to not be grateful for that, right? But here's the thing, being that introvert, sort of working in a silo method, it is very, very limiting and very frustrating. The amount of spark and stimulation you can get by just interacting with people that challenge you or bring fresh ideas or fresh perspectives or different skill sets, it can really take something that used to be really hard and make it really easy for you. Okay. So what I want to do is give you some things that you can add into your routine that will help you in that process of putting yourself around other wealth builders, connecting with other people that can help you get to where you want to get to. Now, by the way, when I put up a slide, make sure you write everything down because I know some of you may not write it down till the end. And when I move to the next slide, I want to be able to kind of move on. Okay. So meeting with friends is a great way to do business. So I want you to talk about how connecting with others. So that's your reflection, right? So in your journal, which if you don't have a copy yet, you can go to drboycebooks.com, search for the word 30 days to wealth and power, and you can find it there. And I want you to talk about how connecting with others can be beneficial. So I want you to sort of write it down, write out your limitations, write out your goals in terms of what you want to overcome, create a plan around that. A lot of wealth is very social. It's very much about relationships and connection. We've talked about that. Okay, so number one, write this down, identify friends that have shared business interests. Maybe you find some system to be able to sort through all the different people that you meet. I have a QR code on my phone that I pull out where people can get my information off the QR code. I try to get information from as many people as possible, and then I put them in my phone, and I'll put something in there to remind me. I don't remember names very well, so I'll put something in there to remind me what they do and where I met them, so that I can cue it up in my head whenever they reach out in the future. And then also people that do similar things, I try to consciously form healthier relationships with those people. Number two, connect with local entrepreneurs through networking events. Almost every city has networking events, and it's a great opportunity for you to connect with and meet other people that are like-minded. I encourage you to add that in as an investment strategy. The more connected you are, the easier it will be to get things done. Number three, join online business and finance communities like this one. We're developing. If you haven't gone to Be One Nation, be1nation.us, be the number one nation.us, we have a community there. We're working to strengthen that and make that better and create actually sub communities related to investing and things like that. There are plenty of other online communities out there that you can be a part of that will allow you to be around people or to talk to people regularly that will encourage you and kind of get you going. Number four, seek referrals from trusted colleagues. A lot of times, talking to people who love to connect other people can be beneficial. So, working with people to find connections and make referrals can go a long way. And then number five, attend industry-specific workshops or seminars. Conferences and seminars and workshops are just excellent ways to really get the guidance and inspiration that you're looking for. I'm a big believer that whatever you care about, whatever matters to you the most, find conferences in that field and take the time to go to those conferences. It may, so, some of them are cheaper than others. I'm not a big fan of the conferences that cost thousands of dollars. I just don't see the value, honestly. I think that a lot of now I will pay a few $100s for a conference ticket, maybe 300, 400 or something like that, 200, maybe 500 max. If I pay more than that, there really has to be a clear reason why I'm doing that, right? Because some people, some people really, I think, push the envelope in terms of getting people to pay in insane amounts of money to do things that they could probably find cheaper ways to get done. Um, and I'm not a fan of that, but I do think investing in yourself in that way can be beneficial. And I think that that should be put right up there with things like getting a college degree when it comes to things we prioritize. I mean, think about it. We'll spend $100,000 getting a college degree, but won't spend a tenth of that getting like education and training on the things that are really going to help us make money. And so when you talk about the difference between, now make sure you write this down. I'm gonna take the slide down in 1 second. When you talk about that difference between education and knowledge, when I think about knowledge, what I do is I start at the end and I work my way backward. Education's just, okay, I signed up for this certificate program and they have a curriculum. I'm going to follow the curriculum, whatever, right? I'm following the system. Knowledge is, to me, knowledge is related to skill, which is like basically based on me starting from the end and working backward. It's me saying, where's my destination? What am I trying to be? What am I trying to become? And how do I learn how to do that? And who do I learn how to do that from? And when you think about the type of skill that you want to get training on, I think that that skill should be anything that matters to you in life, anything that's important for you. I don't understand why we'll spend more energy learning how to be a nurse or an accountant than we spend learning how to be a wife, husband, or father. I don't. I think that the second job is more important than the first one, but we'll train for 4 years to become, I don't know, a CPA or whatever, right? But we won't train to actually learn how to run a household. That Let me know if you think that that's a little weird. I don't know if you, I mean, or if you think that that's strange. I think it's very strange. And so, thank you, David. Dynamic optimization, that's the term that's used mathematically to describe this. But I'm really serious. I really think that your whole view of education has to evolve, in my opinion. How about this? I'm here to hopefully persuade you to consider evolving everything about how you look at education. I'm an educator, I taught in college campuses, the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, etc. Um, I don't have any problem with college degrees and all that stuff, but let me just tell you, as a 52-year-old man looking back on the things I spent the most time on educationally, a big chunk of that stuff was BS. A big chunk of it was worthless. A big chunk of it is stuff I never used in my life. So if I want to get trained, I need to be trained on the things that are important to me. What's important to me? Um, Being a good husband, running my household properly so I don't damage my children, um, being healthy so I don't die, knowing what foods to eat, how to stay in shape, my mental health, learn how to be happy and content every day so I don't feel sad about, the things that are happening in our lives. Um, and then there's wealth, right? That's financial security. That's being, wealth to me kind of comes down to a couple of things. One is, are you financially secure? Two, do you have the cash flow that you need to do what you got to do? Cash flow and financial security. Those are two of the biggest areas of wealth that will get you where you want to get to. So if I was, to design the Dr. Boyce Watkins School of Life, well, I do have a life class, by the way, at blackkeystogreatness.com. I decided to make it free just because I just wanted everybody to see this. So you can go to blackkeystogreatness.com. It'll also give you access to our book club meetings once a week. We couldn't do it this week because I had to go to this conference, but we will be meeting next week. Um, but yeah, if I was to design the Dr. Boyce Watkins School of Life, I would say let's start with the fact that let's look at a 35-year-old black man, 35-year-old black woman. What are the things that they're thinking about the most? What are the biggest problems and biggest challenges that they're having on a daily basis? And I would say, oh, well, if they have kids, They're probably dealing with kids and they're dealing with their spouse. They got to keep their household together because if they don't, then that's going to impact their wealth. And it's also going to take away things that money can't buy, like their mental health, maybe ruin their kids, things like that. Um, they're going to think about, they're going to care about just their mental health, happy, how to be happy and content. They're going to think about their physical health, like how to not get fat, not die, things like that. They're going to be thinking about financial security. How do I make sure I pay all the bills? And how do I make sure I have an economic plan that's going to help me get to where I want to get to, right? So I would train them on all those things because there's training out there. There's so much stuff. My wife was sitting here at this conference with six therapists, and I said, I said the six of y'all right there, y'all know y'all form a whole academic department. Like you match Harvard, Yale, Stanford, all that. Like you're an academic department just with the six of you sitting on this couch. And with all the knowledge that you all have, and I said, I will give you my platform to go and share this knowledge with as many people as possible. And smart people will listen to you because you got the keys to the universe. You have so many secrets that, to solutions to problems that people are out here trying to solve themselves. Biggest mistake I made when I was young, trying to understand relationships, was trying to solve my relationship problems on my own. I mean, that was just the dumbest thing ever because I just kept I blew up my own life so many times trying to solve a problem that thousands of people had already solved before me. That was already in some book. I could have read a book. I could have talked to somebody. I could have went and got some professional help. Instead, I was like, oh, let me try to figure this out on my own. No, the answers are out there. The solutions are out there, right? So, long story short, I would encourage you to really think about what is your educational process and your knowledge process for you and your family. What does that look like? How do I teach my kids what knowledge looks like and how to obtain it? And I don't believe that it exists within pre-existing systems. You have to go outside of those systems and create systems of your own. And if you do that properly and you do that consistently and you make that part of your habit, part of your culture, and you're conscious and intentional about that, then you're going to find yourself able to elevate psychologically above the masses of our community or any other community, actually. You won't be stuck in the middle. I think I saw something. Dave Ramsey said this the other day that was really interesting. He said, everybody talks about how, 52% of all marriages end in divorce. 52% of all marriages end in divorce. He said that's not true when you account for couples where they both have a 4-year degree, where they both had parents that stayed married, when they both go to church together. And I think a couple other things he mentioned. He said at that point, the marriage success rate is 90%. So the thing about it is that um, if you count yourself as part of the masses, then you know what your outcome is going to be. But what you have to do is start figuring out be conscious enough to figure out what the problem is and why people are having this problem and how you're going to remove yourself from the group of people that have this problem. And one thing I figured out a long time ago was I said a lot of black men I know have a lot of problems that could have been prevented if they had a little bit of foresight, a little bit of consciousness about how they were investing their lives. Like your biggest problem now is that you can't pay your child support on your 7 kids. Well, that was easily preventable. You could have, protected yourself, maybe not slept around as much, maybe thought about the consequences, but you didn't. You weren't conscious. You weren't behaving in a conscious manner. You were acting like an animal, chasing any tail that was within a 100-mile radius. Why were you doing that? Well, it was probably because you were copying other people. I forgot what it was. They said that black people are very social. We're more social than other people. That's why we use social media more than white people do on a percentage basis and stuff like that. And it was interesting when they were talking about investing. You guys know you saw this where it said that black people are the number one group of new investors in the country, right? Everybody saw that. Well, they found that with what was it? I think they said that with other groups they invested because of the benefits of investing because they've been educated on how long-term investing strategies can build family wealth and all that. They said a lot of black people were investing because other black people were investing. Literally, that's what they said. That a lot. Now, how much of this is true? I got to go verify it. But a professional told me this, a person with a doctorate. They said, yeah, a lot of people, black people are investing because everybody else is doing it. And I said, okay, well, that's an opportunity where social proof or peer pressure is working in our favor. But think about how many other things that people are doing because everybody else is doing it, and these things are not healthy, right? And so ultimately, I don't think that just following the crowd is the best approach. But I think also not following the crowd requires a certain amount of education. It requires a certain amount of courage. It requires a certain amount of self-esteem where you can go in a different direction. In fact, actually, and I'm gonna share this with you about in terms of economic consciousness, and then we'll be able to shut down. I always tell you guys we're gonna do 45 minutes, and then sometimes we do an hour and 15 minutes. Today we're really gonna do 45 minutes. But Professor David Hirschleifer, who was on my dissertation committee, he used to study herding behavior. He used to study why people follow the crowd. Like, why do people do what everybody else is doing? Because studies show that 70% of all people will follow the crowd, even if the crowd is wrong. Like, or I saw another study where this lady went into a doctor's office and a bell would go off and everybody would stand up and sit back down. And then the bell would go off again. Everybody would stand up and sit back down. And she didn't know why they were standing up. So she just started doing it because everybody else was doing it. So peer pressure is a big deal. And one thing that Hirschleifer explained to me in one of his research papers that I think you might find interesting is he said that the reason a lot of people follow the crowd, they were studying CEOs exactly, actually. So even CEOs, as smart as they are, they follow the crowd. And they said that part of the reason that people follow the crowd is because mathematically and logically speaking, there is safety in following the crowd, even if the crowd is wrong. Let me explain. So let's say that everybody says, let's go left and everybody's doing it, and you're thinking, well, wait, going left isn't good. Like bad things are going to happen if we go left. I think we should go right, right? So let's say you don't know for sure though. Let's say that you're kind of thinking like, well, I kind of feel like that's not the right move. I think I want to make a different move, right? But you're not 100% sure. Well, because in most decisions that you make, you're not 100% sure. You can't predict the future. You can only look at probabilities. And so in your mind, you're like, I think there's about a 70% chance that going right is actually better than going left. And if everybody knew what you knew, then they would be going right too. But because everyone's following the crowd, they all go left. So I want you to think about this, right? So if you go right and you're correct, then that's cool. Like, right? Like, everybody else went left and they made a mistake. You went right. You're the smart person that went in the opposite direction. Good for you. But what if your 70% doesn't work out? Remember, 70% probability is not a guarantee. That's like it's like basketball. Just because I take a good shot doesn't mean it's going to go in. So let's say that you end up in that 30% where it doesn't work out. Well, when you talk about CEOs in particular, CEOs will be fired for going out on a limb like that. Because what they're going to say is everybody else knew to go left and you chose to go right. So you're stupid. But here's the thing. Let's say they followed the crowd and they just went left like everybody else. And let's say the same thing happened. They fail going left like everyone else did. Well, people aren't going to blame them. They're not going to get in trouble. They're going to say, oh, well, everybody made that same mistake. So, nobody really knew. Nobody really knew what the right answer was. So you just kind of did what everybody else did, right? So the safe move, let me know if you're following this. Give me a guess if this is making sense to you. So what they concluded in the research is that the safest move for the CEO is to follow the crowd, even if the crowd is wrong. Because if the crowd is wrong, nobody's going to blame them. And if the crowd is right, then they were right too. But if they go left, if they're right, then that's good. But if they're not right, they're going to say, you big dummy, you should have went left like everybody else. What's wrong with you? So a lot of times that happens in our families when we say, I want to start that business. I want to quit my job and do something nobody in the family has ever done. Everybody else goes left. They go the seemingly safe route of the corporate plantation, which really actually isn't safe because you're never safe when you have one stream of income, and that income is coming from your oppressor. That's not safety. That's high risk. It's a high risk situation. You don't believe me? Just look at how many people freak out every time there's like a government shutdown or whatever. There's a bunch of job losses, right? My condolences if you're in this category, but that's not a safe route. You can't depend on corporate America. You can't really depend on your oppressor to feed you. But anyway, so if you're that one person in the family who says, I'm going to go out and start a business and quit my job and do things differently. you feel an extraordinary amount of pressure to succeed because you know that if you fail, everyone's going to say, yeah, of course you failed. You didn't do what everybody else did because you're apparently stupid, right? And that's kind of a tough experience, right, for a lot of us, right? So the thing is, what you have to understand is that when you go off the beaten path, when you go right, when everybody else goes left, you have to accept the fact that going right may not work out. And that just because it doesn't work out, that does not mean you made the wrong decision. Just like in basketball, just because the shot didn't go in doesn't mean it's a bad shot. So that requires enough that requires quite a bit of courage and fortitude in terms of knowing who you are to be able to say, yeah, I tried something different and it didn't work out. So what? At least I tried. There's a victory in trying, right? You got to find and salvage your victory in any way that you can and understand that there's no such thing as a mistake. It's just a lesson learned. Okay, I made things didn't go right. I did not fail. I learned lessons. I learned more about by going to the right than you'll ever learn going left. I learn more by doing something different than you'll ever learn by simply repeating what everybody else is doing. Do you understand? So when you think of things that way, it allows you to endure the criticism that will come when you go off the beaten path and you fail. Like I've dealt with this my whole life. My whole life, I've never really done what everybody else did. I never wanted to. I have confidence in my intelligence to the point where I could be sitting in a room with 10,000 people who all want to go left, and if I conclude like no, going right's the best approach, I'm okay with that. It took time to build up to that point, but at this stage, I feel like I'm enough of a thought leader where I can say no, I'm not. I'm going that way, and hope maybe you'll follow me, maybe you won't. But if you don't follow me, that's okay. I'm okay going by myself because I'm an introvert anyway, right? So it's kind of I think so what that kind of helps you do is it liberates you to explore all the possibilities. You make discoveries that others will never ever have. You have that probability that you get some chance to live a life that nobody else ever will. So keep that in mind as you move forward. Divine alignment, that's a great term, Calvin. Align with your divine purpose, whatever that is. And I encourage you, don't let anybody talk you out of that. And that's a level of consciousness. I think it takes a type of consciousness to know who you are and to be comfortable enough with who you are, comfortable enough with your mistakes, comfortable enough with your flaws, and just love yourself enough, warts and all, that you can go and do something different and even fail and still feel like, you know what, I would do it all again. I would do it the exact same way if I could do it again. So that's my message and thought for today. Let's go ahead and bounce on out. We're going to meet tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We're almost done with our financial consciousness training. I'll put a certificate in there in drboyceelevate.com if you guys want to go and pick up a certificate or something after we complete the 30 days. I guarantee you your thinking is going to be at a different level financially if it's not there already. And also, again, if you want to join for the next training we're going to do, it's going to be on the 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. So here is a link to I think this is the study guide. This is if you buy a copy of the study guide, you can join for free. The live sessions for free. Now the recordings and everything, there's an extra fee for that. Okay, so because we can't give away the whole farm for nothing. But if you want to come to the live sessions inside the Zoom for free, just get a copy of the study guide. We'll send out a link to everybody that purchases the study guide, either the e-copy or the hard copy. I think I put the e-copy up there just now. So what I'll do is I'll grab the link for the hard copy. And so if you want me to sign it for you or something like that, I can do that. So let me see here. Let me grab the other link. And then also I want to share with you all that actually before I do that, let me give you all one more time the link to that free training on the secrets to Black financial security. This may be something that you may want to consume and take a look at today or whenever you have some time. That'll help you identify what financial security looks like. So you just kind of know what to aim for when you talk about sort of being where you want to be. And let's see, last but not least, here is the link to get the physical copy to the study guide. And all right. So let's see, you can sign mine. I just ordered it. Okay, and you know what? I'm gonna text Anna and tell her to make sure I sign everything before she ships them out. Because actually she may have shipped some out already, so I shouldn't. You know what? I'm gonna try it when I get home. I'm not gonna be home till Monday though, and I think she ships them out already. So Yeah, so you know what, I wish I could promise the signature, but Anna and Nicole, they like to send their stuff out immediately. So let me take that back. I hate to have to renege like that, but I don't want to make a promise that I can't keep. But I'll be home after Monday, and after that, I'll sign everything else they ship out after Monday. All right. So anyway, have a good day, everybody, and I